What's poppin'? Welcome back to the station. Welcome back to the channel. Y'all know who it is, your boy Ray G. You can find me on X at Ray GQ. Joined as always by my brother from another mother. Y'all know who he is, Scott Connor. You can find him at Charles Chill FFB. Y'all are the members, so you're here early. We told you we were gonna find the time. Scott, I still don't know if this is going to be the time. We would like to do it a little earlier in the day, but I love being able to analyze this kind of usage data with you all as we got the information. It just went live a couple of hours ago. Shout out to Dynasty Daddy in Germany. Shout out to all of y'all members here. But we're going to talk through it. It's the first week, Scott, where I feel like we kind of got shit together on our end. Had a little intro that we did. We got some new graphics that we're going to use. And more importantly, we got 4 weeks worth of data. And we kept telling folks, you know, I need about a month. I need about 4 or 5 weeks before I can start making some wholesale conclusions. But we're about to do that right now. Like, we are about to talk through what we're seeing, what the usage is tracking. You see some people on X today engaging us. Well, does it factor in O-line? Does it factor in this? And it ain't factoring in nothing besides the usage. And you can deduce from there what you want to do with it. But Scott, how are you? How are you feeling coming out of week 4? We got 2 Monday night games. What do you want to say to people before we get going, baby?
Well, welcome in. Fresh new look for those joining for the first time. If you're watching this back on YouTube, you can get in here. The Trade and Chill tier, members only. You get this early before your waivers, before everybody else in your league starting to send out trades. You get it a couple days early. So if you're watching this live, you're already a member. But if not, consider joining. Link is in the description for all the weeks going forward. But a fresh new look. We said it after week 1, after week 2. I think I even used it as my taking away point last week was when we have a month worth of data, we can really start deciding what does some of these offenses look like. Is that enough for us to say they're probably not going to change going forward? The injuries are going to continue to happen, Ray.
Yeah.
Some of these situations can be wrecked by O-line injuries or team turmoil or coaching firings. Like, all that is still to come. But I think if we really start diving into some of these situations, and I think we have a few we can look at today that we really haven't looked at in the past, you can start making some decisions. Bye weeks are coming this week. This is the first week where you have to count for not having some players voluntarily because they're not going to be there. And with so many injuries, I think we can use this data now going forward to really chuck and jive. We were talking about it before this show started in the Discord. Like, you have to adjust probably quicker than most if you want to get deals done too. You know, you have to really reconcile with the fact that, guess what, Ray? As much as you may like him, Malik Nabers is gone for 9 months or more with a quarterback that we've never really seen play with him, an offense and a new coach that could be different next year.
Hey, people don't want to hear that shit though, Scott. People ain't trying to hear that right now, man. You know?
I agree. And people still don't want to hear that Quentin Johnston's the best receiver on the Chargers.
No way.
And he's a top 12. But you have to be able to reconcile some of these conclusions. Whether we're right or your opinion is right, whether we agree or disagree, to get stuff done, you have to be able to reconcile what was with what is today and what is going forward. Because if you're just stuck on what was, we were talking about Lad. I don't want to talk about the Chargers today, Ray.
Okay.
We were talking about Lad in the Discord. Like, what is too cheap to sell him? And it's like, well, you know, because the discussion was, should I bench him going forward? And it's like, well, if you're putting him on your bench, you really have to have the conversation in your head is, what is he worth, right? You can't tell me he's an elite asset that's worth a first plus, but he's not starting in your start 11 league. You know what I mean? So I think being able to reconcile some of these things quicker than the market will allow you to get some moves done. So that's why we're here.
Well, you said we're not going to talk about Ladd McConkey. Where do you want to start then? Like, what? Let's just pull up the week. How about we just start with the week? Let's just look at what week 4 looks like in general. Let me pull up the Trinity right now. We got a new little overlay screen we're working with. Look at that. Gotta trust it, baby. You gotta trust it. You like that, Scott? You like that? Right in the middle. Everything right in the middle.
You know what comes to my mind? Just a real quick side tangent. When you see the letters on the screen, obviously it says trust the Trinity. But my head went immediately. I read eternity. And I'm thinking I can trust the Trinity for eternity. Right. I don't know if that's just my brain messing with me, but I see the word eternity, even though it's not actually in there. It's missing an E, but it's there. So.
You had me, you know, sometimes that spelling with old Jay Rich, I started spelling it out to make sure you got it right. But yeah, you got to trust the Trinity, baby. So here it is. weeks 1 through 4, and we do not have, of course, the Monday Night Football game. Okay. No Monday Night Football, but here it goes. Let's see who's this at the far right, Scott. Do you have any idea who that is?
I do. That is a guy we kind of crapped on for the first couple weeks, but it is a player that has been there in the past. And could I say that, Ray, maybe he is a guy you are going to turn back around in if he gets this usage on, I don't know, the offense that might be ascending a little bit? That's Stephon Diggs, isn't it?
No, that's Puka. That's Puka.
Oh, okay. I thought you were pointing to the.
No,
I don't even think
I'm
Diggs
up here.
is on your
I'm up here at the top.
Right?
I was letting you go, but I was like, you think I'm talking about Diggs, but I'm talking about Puka Nakua.
Okay.
Puka Nakua at the top, dude. I mean, I'm just asking you quickly. Dynasty wide receiver 1, yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Over Chase, over Jefferson.
You're on the. All right, listen. Any situation can change overnight in a blink of a moment, right? Any injury can happen. But if there's one player that you just look at this, and this isn't a 1 week fluke that he's up there. He's been up there every damn week.
Every week. And
we know the impact of having a 25 point per game season. He might not even get there, but he's on track to have basically Chase's season last year. Like when you have one of those, your team it's harder for your team to lose if you have one of those. So buy into it while it's happening. You give up Chase in a second for Puka, and then Puka gets injured next week. You don't go, oh man, I was wrong. You know what I mean? In the moment where we are today, he's the wide receiver 1, all included.
All right. That was just kind of icebreaker for the top, but we could talk about Diggs. But I do want to give a shout out to Scarvin24 right here. Said, hello, Scott. Thanks for that link. I don't know if this was the person that you were interacting with on X just right before we got started, but welcome in. We're going to talk through it, man. We're going to talk through it. So, yeah, Puka Nakua at the far right, man, he's just silly right now. Like, absolutely nuts. I mean, if he could score more touchdowns, it'd be right there for Triple Crown. But we've got Garrett Wilson, still yet to play. It's weeks 1 through 4. Jackson Smith-Njigba, this is the full season. Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Justin Jefferson. So this is full season, not week 4, Scott, which you were referring to, which I will do that right now. Week 4 only. Week 4 only. Puka Nakua at the top, George Pickens there, and there you are with the leader in usage for his team. 16 points, too. Not too bad, but if you're getting damn near a 10's worth of usage, you probably should be scoring a little bit more, but we could pull up New England and isolate them. But Stephon Diggs at the far right, Jay Rich. You got some DK Metcalf up here, Drake London, Quentin Johnston. I know you said we're not going to talk about the Chargers, but QJ is there. Egbuka still up there and closer to the line, which I don't mind at all. Amon-Ra St. Brown, and this one outlier dot. Any clue who that is? I don't know. I honestly have no clue. You know who it is?
Is it still Trey Tucker?
I don't think so. It looks like a navy. It looks like a blue dot.
I gotta look now. Oh,
Romeo Doubs.
I just hovered it over on my screen. Yep.
Romeo Doubs. Okay. Romeo Doubs. I had no clue who that was. Okay. So where are we starting? Week 4. If you're a member, you can ask GAGP. What's up, Dustin? You can ask just your requests, some teams you want us to talk through. But that's the whole point is we're 4 weeks in. We got to talk through some of this shit. So where are we starting, Scott?
So there's a few that I want to hit just because those are what's on people's minds. So I do want to go to the Giants. I want to see what it looks like without Malik Nabers. I mean, Jackson Dart is ascending. I think he'll be a top 15 quarterback in Dynasty in the next 2 or 3 days, right? People are super excited about his debut. But I wanted to put a little bit of a damper on it. I already said it earlier with the Nabers situation, right? Mm-hmm. When Nabers went out yesterday, the Giants passed at the lowest rate of anybody on the day. And people love the feeding Skattebo, and every 3 plays is a Jackson Dart draw up the middle. You know what I mean? But we know that's not sustainable in the National Football League. So what do the receiving weapons look like? Like maybe it was just they lost Nabers. You don't game plan with a rookie QB to lose his best weapon and then say, oh, we're just going to continue the offense. So hopefully they start maybe working in some of these other guys. But let's look at the Giants, because people are going to want to know, like, is there a giant pivot? It was Wandale in the first 2 weeks. He's fallen back a little bit. Theo Johnson has popped up.
Here it is, week 4.
What do you think?
Here it is right here. Here's week 4. But you want to look at the whole season?
No, let's just go to the game yesterday. I mean, obviously we can remove Nabers going forward.
Yep.
Now, again, this was a very low sample size. So I think that's the thing we have to consider is that this is just 1 week. But I think it's interesting to talk through the rest of the Giants because I think you could sell me on every one of those weapons. You could sell me on why it could be Theo Johnson. You could sell me on why it could be Darius Slayton. And you could sell me on why it could be Wan'Dale Robinson. It's probably not all three. But do you have any conviction or any takeaways by looking at either the season Trinity or is it just we don't know? It's a complete unknown.
When I'm looking at week 0, I think the big beneficiary of this injury will be Cam Skattebo. Like I talked about that on Wake Up this morning. Like you're not about to sell me on none of this shit because even with Darius Slayton leading the way, like look at how far below the line he was. He got you at 7 fantasy points. And then if I look at their involvement in this offense for the entirety of the season, like it was just those two. We literally were just on here talking about how consolidated it's those guys. This is what the other pass catchers did. I'm not. If they're on waivers, then absolutely. I would pick up a Darius Slayton. I'd pick up a Theo Johnson. I don't want any part of it. I think this is going to be rough. I believe it wasn't by accident that the game plan got ruined, but I don't think that these guys who have been just pedestrian for the most part outside of Wan'Dale are going to step up and really make a true dent for us in fantasy. No. I think this is going to be very rough.
So aside from the weapons, you know who I think the best comparison for Jackson Dart is?
Who's that?
It's literally just fallen into place. Drake May.
Okay, yeah.
Isn't this what Drake May dealt with last year? Shitty weapons, a coach that potentially could be gone that ended up going, but it didn't matter because and I think without Nabers, you're going to see the built-in excuse for Jackson Dart a little bit. You know what I mean? As long as he doesn't look completely terrible, people are going to buy in. But I agree with you. I think I want all 3 pieces, but I'm guessing that only one of the 3 might be a semi-correct answer. So I don't want to go pay.
Here's the thing. None of y'all out there are starting Darius Slayton next week. Nobody. You're not.
I'm going to stop you. Because there are most people pumping up a giant, right? Somebody's going to pump up a giant pass.
I don't give a shit what somebody is going to do. If you're in the position to where you're already in week 4 and you for real are like, I'm rolling out Darius Slayton, you got bigger issues to fry. Like, that's not going to be the savior of the week. That's probably not going to be the reason you win a week. Or, like, you're just not. You're not. And if you are in that deep of a league and in that bad a shape to where your bank, sure, can he pop? And I'm a Darius Slayton fan, but to be like, oh yeah, Nabers is gone, load me up with that Darius Slayton, he's going to take over. And I think that's pure hopium, man. We're talking about an offense that's being led by a rookie quarterback. They probably do not want to throw the ball all over the place. Cam Skattebo was second in offensive touches for the running back position on week 4. Maybe Jacobs overtook him in Sunday Night Football, but he had 27 opportunities in that game. Well,
I think that's the key. The key is that there is an ambiguous receiver option between the 3, right? But I think the bigger key here is this is not the offensive environment to take the wild card and throw him in and hope for a good outcome. The Giants are 28th in neutral pass rate. They were last yesterday when Jackson Dart played. So I guess that would be 28th because there's been 4 teams that haven't played yet. But they're at the bottom in terms of wanting to pass. And you can't expect that changes at all when Nabers is not going to be there. So I think what we're trying to say is you have a rookie quarterback that even if he's good next year, he's probably going to struggle this year throwing the ball. And you have no clear, obvious choice in a bottom, I'll be conservative and say a bottom 8 passing environment in the league. That's not the offense where you take the third option and say, I'm going to throw him into my flex. There's many others we can talk about where you would speculate on the third option much more than you would speculate on somebody on the Giants. So I think that's the analysis. Even though we don't know who it's going to be between Theo, Wan'Dale, or Slayton, until I clearly know we need to see something clearly change to where it's one guy well over the other 2 before you're even consider starting them. So that's the takeaway with the Giants. It's not which of the 3. It's you don't want to speculate on any of them right now in this offense.
And to Jeffrey's point, like you're taking Slayton because he has a shot to start. If most people are going through, if you're starting 36 wide receivers in your league and a 12 team, you're starting 2 receivers, 1 flex. Like I just think you got to be in pretty bad shape to be at the point where you're like, I'm jamming Slayton in. Like I'm not doing that week, even against a matchup in which they should find success against the Saints. I just don't think they're throwing the ball enough for me to want to play the guessing game with Slayton. So not really.
I mean, you know who started every game thus far this year, right? Cooper Kupp. Like, you're looking at these bottom. I mean, even if the Giants aren't even going to be as efficient as some of these lower pass rate teams, but like, you don't want the third option on any of the teams named the Saints, the Raiders, the Eagles, the Seahawks, the Jets. You know what I mean? Like, that's the range that they're in, and you just don't want the third option, especially when you're talking about a guy like Slayton that's been around for a long time. Like, you kind of know what he is.
I mean, look at where Wandale was when Nabers went down. Slayton was way up here, downfield shots, but like, Wandale's he's going to be involved. Like, just playing that guessing game outside of Wandale, I just don't want to do it. So where else you want to go in week 4? It's 15 minutes on the damn Giants.
Nope, we'll move on. Let's go to there was a few others I wanted to hit. Someone had mentioned the Raiders earlier that they wanted to see.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how interesting they are, but throw them up there.
Here you go. Oh, that's the Rams. I say, wow.
The Raiders are going to be a little less.
I was about to
impressive.
say, wow, who's smashing for the tools broken? Cut the stream. What are we looking at?
I mean, if you go to the whole season, you still see that. I mean, isn't it funny how we looked at Trey Tucker last week and all he did this week was just move back a little bit? Like, it didn't do much. You know what I mean?
Here's the
it's
season.
just that 1 week will take like 8 weeks to clear off the screen.
Here it is right here. Geno Smith, not very good. Hasn't been as fruitful for this offense as we thought. I know Bowers got banged up week 1. It's the full season. Like, this wasn't a mistake. Here's week 4. Meyers, nothing. Bowers, nothing. Trey Tucker, nothing. Deontay Thornton drops a catch. The offense stinks outside of Genty.
Yeah, I didn't even look at the Raiders before this, but honestly, there's not many takeaways. It's still the same. Maybe
Trio.
Trey Tucker is a better option than Dante Thornton was coming into the year.
Yeah.
Like that, but nothing has changed. It's still Myers
There it is.
and Bowers are the only two I would want, and they're not in a situation where the quarterback is elevating them above what they're doing. Is there anything else to take away from the Raiders, honestly?
No. I hope Bowers and Myers play better.
You hope these two do more, right? Because you're probably still starting them, but like, what
Absolutely.
else?
All right, people want a KC. I see KC in the chat, Scott. So we'll go Kansas City full season. Full season. There they go. The 2 dots at the top. You got Taekwon. You got Hollywood. Juju. There's Worthy right there. I'd almost double check. Is this 2024? I guarantee this was his week 1 through 3, 2024 spot. But there he is. There's Worthy for week 4. So he gets dinged for being on the field in week 1 and doing nothing because he was out on the field. But here he didn't
show up,
4.
right? He didn't show up, but now that we're counting those snaps or whatever, that he gets dinged, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's back further. But here's week 4 for Xavier. Because what he essentially got is like a damn 0 for week 1, which we talked about this before with Rashee Rice. If I start going in there and be like, well, he really didn't play, then it starts messing with stuff. So 6.11 usage score in week 4 for Worthy. And like, he was the offense. Everybody else kind of got peeled back. He was the damn team's leading receiver and the team's leading rusher, which is a problem, right? Goddamn shoulders torn off the bone, but he leads them in rushing yards and he leads them in receiving yards. He looked good. Worthy after the game, Scott, he said, hey, as soon as I got hit the first time, I knew I was going to be okay. And he was good. Like, what are the takeaways? Taekwon Thornton scored and did do anything else. Where's he at? That's him. Way above the line and no usage. Who's this? Juju did the most with least. Like, everybody did good. Kelsey to get not a lot of usage. He scored you 10 fantasy points, and you had Hollywood to get you damn near 13 with sub 5 usage.
I think the fear with the Chiefs is, because I'm looking right now, they're 4th in neutral pass rate. a bunch of situations. They're well over expected in passing rate. The offense bounced back. And when you see a Trinity like this, for those that are watching it for the first time, I mean, without even telling you what happened in the game, you can look at this and you can say the Chiefs probably did pretty well passing the ball. Yeah. Every player scored above what they're using or what their usage was, meaning a couple of these guys scored touchdowns, which probably pushes them well above that regression line. But it probably means if this continues, and I don't think this is crazy to say it can continue because this has been Mahomes most of his career. Most of his weapons still stay above the regression line because he's a good quarterback. Like, I think you just need to get some of these gnats out of the way. That's going to be the thing. Like, I'm fine with Worthy. I could even be fine with another one of the options, whether that's Kelsey or Hollywood Brown, even when Rashee Rice comes back. But you do want Thornton to get out of the way, Juju to get out of the way. You know what I mean? Like, if Worthy's going to, you can't probably bet on Worthy and Rice smashing how you want if there's 4 of these gnats in there. And the Chiefs, you just don't know.
You know what's cool to see, and maybe you could look this up. Even when you filter weeks 1 through 4, they're all above the line except Noah Gray. So I'm just going to assume Mahomes is playing pretty well this year, right? Like, without looking at any data, I don't know where he ranks in yards. I don't know where he ranks in QBR or completion percentage. But with everybody, like, just look visually, okay? I want you all to visually look at week 4. And nobody in Kansas City's receiving room just smashed in week 4. But just look at the chart. Look at the dots above average. Everybody else. Look at the dots, and then watch what happens when I do this. Like, look at that.
Yep.
Look at that. Look at that for the full season for Carolina. It's a cluster bump of at the line or below the line. Tet McMillan, tons of usage below the line. Let's flip the script to another awful-looking situation. Tennessee, right? Without looking at anything from Cam Ward, I don't care what it could be. The offensive coordinator, Scott. It could be the DC. It could be everybody, right? It could be Tennessee Police Department. It doesn't matter what PD you put in front of it. I can tell you right now, this offense stinks. And what did Cam Ward say yesterday? We're ass. Every dot being below the line, I can tell you right now, the offense stinks, right? Don't know where those quarterbacks rank in any kind of EPA, none of that. Offense stinks. Let's just add Houston on there for optional completeness, right? Look at this. Even Nico. People are probably looking at Nico like, damn, man, be better. Give me more. Everybody at or below the line in Houston. I'm not dogging out CJ Stroud, but if Nico Collins is getting you 13.5 points through 4 weeks, I'm letting you, I know right now that ain't what you signed up for at the back of the first, top of the second round. It's not. And everybody else is below the line, which means you can't start any of them. Dalton Schultz, Jaden Higgins, none of them. Without looking at anything else, you can tell that this situation, this environment is not fruitful for fantasy success for the pass catchers.
No, I mean, that Titans one is, I don't even know what to do with that because
there's nothing to do with it.
We're setting up everything to basically be, it's not Cam Ward's fault, but Cam
Ward has been bad. Like, stop it. Like, I'm not saying
right. It's not even that he's been bad.
He has been bad
right now. I'm going back 10 years for quarterbacks that are, I mean, dude, it's not just bad. It's the list that he's on. I mean, we're talking forget about him being okay next year. The list of guys he's with through the first 4 games. Like, here's a couple of the names. Blaine Gabbert, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Nathan Peterman, Anthony Richardson. So I'm not saying that Cam Ward can't get better, but he is an interesting dynasty conversation because people are basically setting him up to be the only good thing in the offense when it's like he's actually probably a pretty big issue. You know what I mean? But that's okay. That's a different conversation. But what you were pointing out to was that, like, that's where we talk about these offensive environments. And, like, I'm starting to really, I was messing with it last week. I haven't quite gotten it down pat yet, but just some of these situations that even if, like, the Twitter poll was on Bryce Young, you posted the Panthers, and it's like, he's the problem. We've seen enough of a sample size in the environment. It's him. It's not, he doesn't have weapons. His offensive line is banged. You know how many offensive lines around the league are banged up?
Oh, Dallas is down 3 starters.
That's not affecting Dak, right? It's not affecting Justin Herbert. Like, they somehow still managed to crack the top 10. And
Jackson
then Bryce
Dart
Young down here at 31 out of 32. And you're like, oh, it must be the line. It must be his weapons. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, you kind of got to just say these situations are what they are. And then it leads to, I think this is the bigger thing, it leads to the way the teams play around the quarterback because of the fact that they know the quarterback's not great. I mean, I was shocked to see this. This is not sustainable, Ray. The Panthers have a bottom 3 EPA per dropback. Bryce Young is only ahead of Cam Ward in passing efficiency this year, but the Panthers have the second highest pass rate. Something's off there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's terrible, but they're passing more than the Chiefs.
I had no clue it was this bad, but I didn't even need that to tell. I could tell right here. There's nobody else that's even used in the offense, like from the passing game. There's nobody else. Can't get the ball to anybody else. And when he does get it to McMillan, he's underproducing what other players in this range are doing. So...
Put the screen back up, by the way. I don't know if you knew you took it down.
Yeah, I did take it down because we weren't really talking about it.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
So there's McMillan way over here, and there's nobody else. There's nobody else. Where are we going?
What does that mean? We talked about it earlier, but what does that mean for Tet going forward? Like, he's great. His usage is as good as you can ask in an offense. There's a bunch of gnats, but there's nobody threatening him. They probably don't just find a guy better than him in the draft or in free agency. So, like, he's set up very well. But if you're trying to evaluate, like, how do I value him going forward? Like, you know the situation is not great and the quarterback's not good for him.
Yeah.
It's like, what? How do you look at a guy like that?
I trust this. I always talk about this far right quadrant. All of these guys I probably could make a case for. McMillan, got Tyreek down there, great usage. Drake London still below the line. You got McBride, Nico Collins, Jacoby. You got to tell yourself the story, right? Do you want a piece of this pie? Do you want a piece of these guys who are below the line, Olaves? And when I look at McMillan in relation to, because what a lot of people do, man, is they go McMillan or Egbuka. Well, no shit, I'd rather have a Egbuka. McMillan or Rome Odunze. Well, yeah, I'd rather have Rome Odunze. But when I'm analyzing these players, before I'm getting to who he's like, who versus him, I'm looking at the situation, and what I see right here on the screen is there's no impediment to him smashing besides the quarterback, besides the situation, right? It's not like there's another guy kind of close, and you got 2 people, and then you got to figure out which one you like better or worse. Maybe something that we'll see in Kansas City when Rice gets back. And then you got 2 guys kind of eating, and you got to go through 4 weeks of people bitching and complaining over which one is the one, when in reality, like, they both can be interchangeable. There's nobody that's interchangeable with McMillan. Like, this isn't a good piece of pizza. This is not a pretty pie that we're eating right here, okay? You didn't get this made at this local nice mom and pop bakery. I mean, you went right to Walmart and you got the cake, right? This is what it is. It's a Walmart baked cake. But McMillan is getting all of it, dude. So all you can do is I've always said, man, I can't tell you who's going to score. I can't tell you how many touchdowns they're going to get. As much usage as I cannot tell you that this usage is going to yield high-end fantasy result. If anything, this tool right here is telling you all that great usage ain't really equating to much. But the one thing that I can bank on that I feel confident is he's going to have as much opportunity on a per-team basis as anybody else, man. Like, he's got the opportunity. He's got the chance. He's getting the targets. He's getting the stuff that should yield fantasy points. It's just not happening with Bryce Young and this quarterback. So if people start to get panicked and worried because McMillan's only scoring 10, 11 points per game, he falls into the same range that Drake London was in for 2-3 years of his career. We saw Garrett Wilson live down there for a few years of his career. George Pickens was another guy who lived in that range for majority of his career. And once their situations or environments changed, look at how we feel about some of those guys today.
Yeah, I see a comment in the chat from CC about Jalen Coker. And I like Jalen Coker a little bit, but this is not the environment where he comes back and moves the needle. Even if he comes back and he's the wide receiver too, if he comes out and gets 7 targets this week and has an okay game, that's the kind of player I'll liquidate for a pick. You know what I mean? This isn't the environment where I want the third or the second guy even.
Nico's same way. Somebody in the chat said Nico's the same way, Scott. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, but Jed, it's the same chart, right? Nico's biggest competition is Dalton effing Schultz, man. Is Dalton Schultz. He's got big problems, and here's the problem with reconciling where you are with Nico is you didn't pay for 13.5 points, right? Mm-hmm. Like you didn't. Even if you're buying him now, like you're what are you buying? Like you're buying that you hope that they continue to. You can justify it with McMillan. You're like, look, he's a rookie. It's Bryce Young. It's hard to reconcile the fact that CJ Stroud ain't getting it done for Nico Collins. Like there's a big difference there.
You know what's funny is that they both have third-year quarterbacks that have been very disappointing. But doesn't it feel like you actually probably get a shot at the Tet situation changing quicker than the Texans situation? That's my struggle with Nico. Is he's probably tied to this situation for the rest of his prime of his career.
He is.
This isn't like, oh, they're going to get a new quarterback next year and he's going to blow past where he is today. So I'm not saying he's bad, but like
you're a little more bearish.
No, I think we're sitting here saying we hope the situation changes. Really, with Nico, you just got to hope it gets better. They figure it out.
That's a change.
It's probably not going to be figured out mid-season. So it's just tough to stomach that, like, it's not even, they could revamp it and fire the coach and get a new quarterback. It's kind of like what they have now. They just have to make it work. And if they don't, you're going to be in this slog range for the next year or two. It doesn't make me out on Nico, but just something to consider.
I wasn't even like, if you are though, I think people would love that side of the fence too. Like, I just don't want to deal with it. He's, too old. The situation's not going to change this year. CC put Woody Marks taking receptions too. Yeah, we don't include running backs on here, but yeah, Woody Marks is assuming some of that pass catching role and probably going to continue to be involved moving forward. I think you're in a weird spot with Nico. Like, what are people really paying for him? Is anybody giving up their McMillan plus for Nico? Is anybody trading McMillan plus for Nico Collins? So you're in a weird spot.
No, I think in that case, if you're just chasing the usage but not the production, you'd rather have the guy that has a little more insulation and or the guy that you think the situation could change. And that's probably Tet before it is Nico. So I'm kind of with you on that. Check out Tampa real quick. I want to highlight Chris Godwin's usage in week 4 since he came back.
Haven't looked at Tampa yet. Have not looked at Tampa Bay.
I've seen a lot of people pumping him up.
4? Just week 4?
Just 4, because no Evans. Godwin came back. I've seen some people saying Godwin's a good buy while Evans is out. I mean, he got 10 targets, but this doesn't make me sit there and go, I mean, he did. I know last week we talked up Sterling Shepard. He did push that Sterling Shepard.
He got Sterling out of the way.
He nukes that Sterling Shepard, but I don't know. He's a tough one to read because he's clearly the second option. This isn't encouraging, but like, I don't know. He's a tough one because even if he's inefficient.
How do you read it? How do you read this? Because
I read it as this is one where you
hold on, Scott. Before you go, what we don't have to do is we don't have to like guess what happened, right? We don't have to guess. Like, we could read off the stat line what Egbuka did. We know he scored a freaking 70-yard touchdown. We know he only had 4. Like, we know what happened. So how do you read this?
So 2 ways. The first one is obviously you see Godwin below the line. And his usage isn't like stellar, but it's clearly the second best option in this offense. It's not Mike Evans. Remember the first 3 weeks we saw Evans and Egbuka way over there on the right, and they just exchanged out who scored the touchdowns. I mean, Egbuka's pretty much scored every week, but so he's not replacing Evans, and that makes sense because they're not the same players. But he's just a weird one because I could see the logic for buying him because he doesn't need to be where Egbuka is to be productive in this offense because Tampa's, unlike some of these teams we've talked about, Tampa is on the higher end of like, you can win with some inefficiency and you don't need an 8 Trinity to smash. Like, I can see Godwin being in the 6s and still being a wide receiver 2. Even though, and this is where the scope of the offense matters more so than looking at like player versus player if they're on different teams. You know what I mean? Like, I don't read this as completely negative for Godwin without the context of he was coming back from a serious injury. This was his first game. I say I'm encouraged a little bit because they clearly installed him in a role where he's the second option by far. And they still gave him 10 targets. And I know this is measuring more quality over quantity, but still that speaks something. So I don't know. I'd be interested, but I could also see where if he has a big game and you're able to sell him, I could go, I don't know what this looks like when Evans comes back in 2 or 3 games. You know what I mean?
How many targets did Egbuka have, Scott?
I think he had like 8, something like that. I don't know.
How do you have 10? I'm looking at True Media. He's got 10 targets on week 4.
10?
Let me just read you
so
how
him and Godwin about the same.
They both ran 40 routes. Godwin ran 40. Egbuka ran 41. They both had 10 targets. Okay. Scott, maybe we could figure something out with the air yards. You know how many air yards Chris Godwin had? 146 to 148 to Egbuka. Both had 45+% air yard share. Average depth of target for each of them, 14 yards. Chris Godwin's yards per route run, 0.65 versus Egbuka's 2.46. That should be expected with an older player coming off of injury. But here's the real kicker. Maybe we figure something out because my initial hypothesis was, well, Godwin just went right back into the Godwin role in the slot and Egbuka just kicked out wide. Egbuka did run 74% of his routes. Lineup snaps were out wide. Godwin was 71%. Slot, Godwin 29, Egbuka 26. So we gained nothing. Like they did the exact same thing. They both played the Godwin Egbuka role. The way that I read this is Egbuka converted, Chris Godwin did not. The usage was there. You saw nobody else involved from the pass catchers. Bucky Irvin did his thing out of the backfield, no doubt about it. But in a game in which they had negative game script, these two both played like similar roles. Like they did the shit that they did well, and nobody else did anything else. Sterling Shepard did command primary, the 49% of his snaps came from the slot, 49%, but he did nothing else. His 8 out was 5.5 yards. Baker Mayfield was trying to get the ball down to both Egbuka and Chris Godwin. Godwin was targeted more in man situations, and Egbuka ate him up in the zone. 28% to 28% of those respectively. You gain nothing. Even looking at the situational usage, like I don't, for a player coming off of injury, which I said I've got low expectation for, like I'm pretty happy with this. You're not happy with it, but I didn't start Godwin in the first damn place. But if he's going to get used like that, sign me up, dude. Like, sign me up. I'm interested to see what it looks like in week 5.
No, that's good analysis. That's very interesting when you broke down literally where they lined up all over. Like, literally, it sounds like they had the exact same role. And one guy is 22 years old with fresh legs, and one's 29 coming off a serious injury.
Yes.
And maybe if he gets healthy over the next couple games, it starts to get closer to even where, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it says something, Ray, that in the first 4 weeks of his career, Egbuka has outproduced and been used more favorably or equal to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. You know what I mean?
Legit.
And then he's outproduced them in every game. So the fact that that's been the case speaks very highly of him. And if you think this is a good environment, he's probably the lead dog. Even when Evans comes back, he is is it fair to say the more versatile of all the three of them, you would bet would be the one that could do more, where those other two may be a little limited in what they do in this part of their career. Like, he's awesome, but it's a great environment. So ride Godwin while you can.
I mean, Scott, I'm looking at the rest of the Bucs pass catchers. 22 air yards for Sterling Shepard, 15 for K-Dot, and 0 for everybody else. 0. Yeah. Like, it was those two. Now, maybe they say we got to open it up, we got to involve more people, but this was about as good because I didn't think he'd be up there at all. I thought that would be Sterling Shepard, or people are saying K-Dot. They got Godwin back. He ran one fewer route than Emeka Egbuka. They did. I mean, they both played the same role. I'm encouraged. If you are on a contending team, because there's probably a lot of Godwins that just got activated off IR and they were on the bench. Man, Scott, and I see people in the chat. Here's what's really going to trip your mind. Hill Bullies. He said, do they have anyone else to involve? Scott, do you want to take a guess at how many routes everybody outside of K-Dot ran 40, Sterling Shepard ran 32. Want to take a guess at what all the other pass catchers did for Tampa Bay last week? Just routes run, not targets, but routes. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more pass catchers for them. You know how many routes they ran?
The way you preface that 40 and 32, it's definitely lower than that.
It's a little lower.
In the
combined routes for all those 6 guys, 12 with 1 target. Okay. 12 routes run. Is there anybody else? I don't think so. Mm-mm. Tez Johnson, 12 routes, 1 target.
Eye-opening.
Where are we going now? New England. We got to go New England. We got to go New England because you brought it up at the beginning.
New England. Somebody wanted to see Arizona too, so we can go them too after.
All right, let's go New England. This is week 4. That's week 4. Here's the full season. Where do you want to go?
As I say, they've had a different Trinity leader, I think, every week.
Every week.
I think it's been a Diggs week, a Hunter Henry week. Now it's been a Boutte week, 2 Hunter Henry week, and a Diggs week. But
yep. One Boutte, 1 Henry, 2 Henrys. Wait, what was it? 1 Boutte, 2 Henrys, and a Diggs?
I think it was this was the first week that Diggs really usaged everybody.
So let's go back to week 4. Let's go back to this week. Here's what we just saw. Way up there. I mean, and here's the cool thing about Trinity. It doesn't matter how shitty the offense is. When you do stuff like this, you should score a lot of points. Right? And he got you 16. And it was below the line. You get a 10, you should be scoring. You should probably, where's this at? Upwards of 20 points is probably where you should have been. Got you 16. How do you, my takeaway on Wake Up this morning is I feel like Drake May is good for Drake May in fantasy football. And everything else is just, you don't know. It's going to be a weekly crapshoot. It seems like Henry, let's stop talking about what I think. Hunter Henry is the only one above the line, so he's over kind of out kicking what he's being asked to do. The usage is really good. Diggs is getting closer to the line but below it. Boutte is falling back 8 points per game. Pop Douglas is probably way back here. I mean, just absolutely buried. He didn't even register a target in week 4. Scott, what do you do with this New England room?
So I'm actually, I think, a little more willing to buy in because they've been in some weird game scripts. I mean, Drake May is, Ray, he's up there.
He's good for Drake
passing
May.
Efficiency metric. He is up there in the top 10 in almost every efficiency number I look at.
He's playing well, man.
Their volume isn't super high, but that's been a couple games. Like, remember they had that first game where they threw the ball 50 times. And since then, they've only thrown it 87 times in the next 3 games. So it's not like it's super low, but it's on the lower end. You know what I mean? Less than 30 attempts a game. So I don't really know which one is which. They've had a couple games where they're higher and then a couple games where they're extremely low. But if you can consolidate this offense into just 2 options, like I know we talked up Boutte after week 1, but like we know what Hunter Henry is. He's probably a good number 2 option. He's probably right in that like wide receiver 2-3 range. You know what I mean? Like he's a solid starting tight end. But if we get anything close to this Diggs usage, I mean, you kind of got to bet that May can at least uphold 2 of these guys. So I'd be more on buying Diggs. Like I'm thinking some of like Diggs or Godwin. Like literally those are 2 you could kind of put in the same boat, but like who would you rather have if you had to bet on one going forward? Just given what the Buccaneers look like versus what the Patriots look like. That's tough, isn't it?
That's tough. It's tough. I'm looking at the New England Patriots for the year. Kayshon Boutte, here's his problem. 91% of his snaps aligned on the outside. Like he's just an outside receiver. So if May's not looking out there, he's got the really the lowest slot snap rate on this team for players that are actually playing. Like Kyle Williams is lower, but he doesn't have any snaps, you know. Pop Douglas, he's got a Stephon Diggs issue, who in week 4, like everything came from the slot. Diggs was 50% in the slot. Pop Douglas, nothing. Like he's got a problem there. Boutte is going to be plugged into an outside receiver role, and he still leads the team in air yards. Still. Like he still does. Even after what's been some subpar games, like he's just parked as the outside receiver. Hunter Henry second in air yards on the team, followed by Stephon Diggs. But Diggs is playing in the slot. He's playing in the slot. Usage is solid. Like, what do I want to buy him for? I mean, he's getting you 10 points per game right now. So I just think there are better ways for me to use my capital if I'm going to go buy a receiver. It's probably not going to be Diggs.
Yeah, I just think it's an environment that I'm willing to be wrong on. I'm willing to say could be better than what we think. But obviously, like, how much do you have to pay for Diggs? Like, before this week, and it might not even have happened yet. That's the advantage of getting to watch this a little early. I don't think because Diggs didn't have a game where you're like, oh my gosh, he went for 2 touchdowns and everyone said he's finally back. You know what I mean? Like, he had an okay game. He scored 16 points, so I'm sure people are having him on the radar now. You're thinking, I can sell him. But if you're not seeing this, like, this was encouraging usage, and I do think the environment could be one that could prop up a player that gets usage similar to this. Not saying he's going to be at a 9.75 every week, but if he's in the 8s, like, I think he's a good buy. It's just, how do you do it? That's the conversation.
I guess for me, I'm just not spending my money on Stephon Diggs, man. Like, he's getting you 10.
Would you spend, when you say you're not spending your money, typically it's like, I don't want to throw picks to get him. But would you trade out of some of these nuclear assets that you have that are not in good environments? Like you'd move Calvin Ridley in a third.
I guess I'm not as sold on this being a great pass catching environment yet. Like I'm looking at this like there's still a bunch of he's still got a gnat problem. Like, I know it didn't look like it in week 4, but this is the full season. I'm looking at this and it doesn't feel like, oh yeah, I clearly have to go get him. Like, I just think there are other, because the moment anything happens, he's nuked. Like, you got no flex. Like, you're truly convicted on that offense, and I'm just not there yet with New England. Like, if I want anybody in New England, it's Hunter Henry. How do I pivot off of a higher end tight end asset into Hunter Henry? And I'd rather rock with that. And I'm not dogging out Diggs, but I'm just, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and remember this, when people are hearing this conversation, we're talking nuance when we're talking about players in this level.
Yes.
These are not difference makers. These are, I'm looking for a replacement that I don't want to have to pay a lot to get.
Sure. Okay. If you frame it that way, but here's the thing. What am I giving up to get him? Like, that, all of that sounds good, but who? Like, what?
Here's my thought. We have enough of a sample size to say there are some of these situations where they're not fruitful. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying that the Patriots is going to be. I'm saying, looking at Drake May's efficiency numbers, this is at least the archetype of the type of situation I'd want to buy into, because he's not near the bottom. The situation looks like it could be at least average or better. I'm going down to the bottom and sitting here thinking, like, okay, are there some of these other guys I could move off of that still have they're in the same bucket as Diggs, but their environment is not one that I want to continue to buy into? I mean, I could rattle off some names, but you get what I'm saying. Like, we're talking about flex players here. You know what I mean? Like Jerry Jeudy or Diggs.
Yeah, if I could do that, that's where I was going to ask you. Like
Calvin Ridley or Diggs. Like, sure. Getting off of a situation I don't want when everyone kind of views the players as they're all the same. That's what I'm talking about. Will the Diggs manager even
send you that for Calvin Ridley? I would do it, though. But
here's the thing. If you have some of these players in these suboptimal situations, like Ridley,
yeah,
what's the future with him? The only future was he's not in a dog shit situation in 2025, and he is.
And he is.
So guess what? There is a stop loss on having him on your roster. It is, how the hell do I get rid of this guy for any cents on the dollar to get something else that could help me? So it isn't Diggs versus Ridley. It is, I don't want Ridley because there's nothing I can do with him anymore. So what does it take? What do I got to add to him to get Diggs? Does Ridley in a third get me a bailout of another player I can maybe have some hope for starting? That's what I mean. I'm buying him because I think 4 weeks is enough. Where, I mean, do you have any teams?
But I think that's an important distinction, Scott, because there are a lot of people watching this show. They're new to this, and they just say go buy Diggs, and they're like, oh, send out 2 seconds, send out draft picks. Do I send a first? Like, that's what I'm saying. How truly, like, what player pivots are there? Jaden Reed. Can you move your Jaden Reed who's doing nothing? Would you do stuff like that? Get Diggs in a third? Like, I'm trying to think of some ideas, right? Adonai Mitchell had a big day. Can you pivot your Adonai Mitchell into Diggs, or do you want to keep him? So I want to invoke some names so people can get an idea of, oh yeah, I would absolutely do that. Like, I need to go send that out today. Let me figure out how to move that Judy. Let me figure out how to move that whomever it is, right?
I mean, here's one. I guarantee you could probably move this name for either Diggs or Godwin.
Who's that?
But I look at the team environment, and I look at the quarterback efficiency, and it's not a guy I want to bank on. DJ Moore.
I had DJ Moore pulled up.
I would rather have Godwin or Diggs in their situations than DJ Moore in his. But I think DJ Moore has enough name, and people still have this thought on the Bears, like, oh, they're going to give it a couple more weeks, and the Bears are just going to support 4 different guys. That's the type of player where I would rather say I'm starting Diggs over the next 4 weeks. Godwin over the next 4 weeks than DJ Moore. And none of them have any dynasty value past what their startability is right now.
Yep.
I agree. Next week, the rest of this year. So that's a name that I think you could move. Terry McLaurin is another one. I know he's injured, but I think he still has this connotation as like, wait till he gets healthy. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people they're not going to move that Terry, man. They cannot move that scary Terry.
And are you worried about what Terry McLaurin's going to do when he gets back? Are you so worried he's going to burn you above what Godwin or Diggs? I mean, that's the type of trade that you do to get one of these guys. What you don't do is, if you're starting, we talked about the Raiders earlier. They're a little above probably the Titans, and they're probably a little bit even above like the Bears or the Commanders at this point. But like, what I'm not doing is paying 2 seconds to trade for Diggs to then put him in my lineup over Jacoby Meyers.
Right.
That's the mistake people make. Okay. They go, well, I have a similar guy. I don't like him as much, so let me go give up a couple picks to go then create. I mean, what is Diggs versus Meyers? Like a 55-45 bet every week?
Sure.
Like, you don't pay picks to get both. You know what I mean? If you have one, you don't need the other. But that's kind of the context of how to go after
Love that.
Like Diggs. I don't want to pay my pick to get him. No
Love it. That's important. Green Bay wants to be discussed, man. This is your arch nemesis receiver room, Scott. We have this love-hate thing for Green Bay because I think you and I both like that Romeo Doubs. I think a team that we co-managed together, we were trying to buy at Doubs last year, but then we look at the situation and it's like,
dude, last week, and I'll call us both out because we agreed.
Yeah.
I think your words were Doubs is what he is, and I said, "Yep, I'd rather have Wicks over Doubs." And then this was going to be the golden breakout week, and then whoops, there you go.
Well, let's take a look, Scott. So this was week 3, right? This was week 3. Golden usage in week 3. Wicks, Tucker Kraft. There's Doubs. Okay. Week 2 for Green Bay. There's Kraft, there's Wicks, there's Doubs in the same spot, right? Week 1 for Green Bay. There's Doubs way up there, 8 score, low usage. You still had Reed. So I don't feel, I mean, he didn't do anything. And he kind of, even with the 3 touchdowns, had Puka scored 3 touchdowns, he would have been way off the screen. The dot wouldn't have registered on there. When Juwan Jennings had 3 touchdowns in his San Francisco game last year, he broke the tool. He was way up there. Doubs has 3 touchdowns. He's right there. Because his usage
he was up on that Ray GQ avatar, way up there in the upper right hand corner.
I'm talking about for the season. You get what I'm saying? Like, even with all of that, look at where he's at. Like, that just shows you that the unpredictability of scoring a bunch of touchdowns. Here he is up here. 7-2-1. 29 points per game on the week. 30-point week. And he still wasn't, like, he wasn't way over there. Like, the usage was kind of is what he is. He scored 3 touchdowns, which is great. Which is great. And nobody else did anything for Green Bay in this one. There's Matthew Golden still hovering. Like, we just talked about Diggs and all this stuff. He got you 11 points in that week. Look at the usage right there for Matthew Golden. So it was only those 2 guys involved. And then there's Tucker Kraft, right? 10 points, 3.7. You had a random Savion touch, a random Malik Heath catch in overtime, but it was 2 guys. One of them, usage was pretty much identical, Scott. Go look at the final stat line. One had 6 catches, one had 5. One had, 60 yards? The other one had 50-something yards. One scored 3 touchdowns, the other one didn't. And then look at him.
It's just a conundrum, man, because if you look at week 2 and week 3, Doubs was buried by Wicks. And then week 4, it's the complete opposite. Like,
but that's why, okay, now we've got to collect. Here's what it looks like for the full season. With all of that, here's what it is. The most consistent asset, if we're being for real, is Tucker Kraft. It's Tucker Kraft. Wicks is not producing. Matthew Golden is probably right here, a little above him. There's Matthew Golden. It's Kraft, and then you got Romeo Doubs. Like, there you go. Like, through 4 weeks, those have been the best 2 pass catchers overall. And if we go back to week 3 and include week 3, like, Doubs is still, he's right where he's at. He flipped above the line and moved up a few spots, but Tucker Kraft is exactly where he was at. Like, it's not really, do you want Doubs? Do you want to play him every week? You can't bank on 3 touchdowns. You take the 3 touchdowns off the board, he's right where Matthew Golden is. You take the 3 TDs off, he's right down there.
Yeah, let's talk about the Matthew Golden aspect, because he's got they got the bye week, and then he's got Cincinnati coming up. Like, are you sold on Matthew Golden after this week? Like, getting this usage 2 weeks in a row? Is that a player you're interested in, or is it still something about the Green Bay situation?
Let's go last 2 weeks. Let's go last 2 weeks.
Last 2 weeks, he definitely looks like the best option if you go just 3 and 4.
Remove the TD. The last 2 weeks, which include the 3 touchdowns. I mean, what are the Green Bay Packers telling you over the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, Golden.
It's easy to pick apart a game, an isolated incident. I love segmenting out by weeks. It's a 2-week sample size that includes a 3 touchdown performance and who's been used more.
Can I sell Romeo Doubs for Stephon Diggs?
Listen, I still like Golden. I still like Golden. I still like Golden. Is that what you want? I still like him.
Well, and you know what you get if you buy Golden, Ray? Can you imagine if today we were talking about Matthew Golden going for 3 TDs?
Oh.
Where would he be?
Top 15 Dynasty wide receiver.
Golden or Nabers, right?
I mean, he scored it through. Here goes the last 2 weeks, Green Bay and New England. There's Golden and Diggs. There they go. There's Golden and Diggs. Hunter Henry. Romeo Doubs. I love it. Play around with the week. Like, what story do you want to ride with? And Arizona got pulled up, so let me just bring Eric. What are we talking about? It's McBride and Harrison. That's for the full season. For the full season.
People want to see that week 4 Marv, because he had a moderately good game. But guess what?
There is
his usage is basically the same as it's been all year, and we looked at it last year.
Yeah.
For the entire 2024, he's always in the same range. It's just he had a touchdown in this game.
Let's go let's go just week 3 and 4. Right? Let's kind of bring some. There he is, right there. 7.48. You know what he had? 7.48 weeks 3 and 4. Week 4, he had a 7.74. So that big blow up game, it still didn't push him all the way. Here's what a real elite receiver looks like, and we did this earlier. When the chart looks like it starts looking weird like that. Look at that. That didn't take 3. That wasn't 3 touchdowns. That was earning 15 goddamn targets, man. and converting 10, 12 of them into 160 yards. Like that's what it looks like. You throw Marv on here, and it's just like, does he even have
what this was?
Like, look at Marv's good game, versus what, and I know it's no one's comparing him, but look at that versus Puka.
Mm-hmm. But right, you know what this is? This is what we talked about a couple weeks ago with Marv. Like, he's just not an elite receiver. But you know what? With his usage from last year, so you're looking at 2024 and so far in 2025, you know what he should have? He should have like a 20-point game every other week.
Should.
That's like his usage. You know what I mean? And then the weeks he doesn't, he's going to have 11 points, 8 points. Like, he's not an elite receiver. Nothing about his usage says he's an elite receiver. People saying, oh, he's a bust. Like, no, he's probably very situation dependent, whether you'd put him in the top 20, top 15. It's just we have a hard time reconciling that with the fact that he was supposed to be where Puka is.
Yes.
So
yes. All right. Well, we are at time. Any one last team you want to take a look at before we roll? We covered a lot.
Not really. I mean, we hit on probably 5 or 6. We got to
go to Jacksonville. It's just we just got to go look at it. Here it is. That's weeks 1 through 4.
The weekly Jacksonville.
That's the full season. Here's the funny thing, Scott. Here's the full season, right? Just look at the dots. Let's just isolate week 4. Maybe somebody really stood out. Oh, it's just a cluster of dots still. Still a cluster of dots all below the line. BTJ separated a little bit. There's Hunter, there's Brenton Strange, and then you got damn Hunter Long. No Parker Washington, no De'Ami Brown.
Isn't it? Just look at this real quick. Go to week 2. Just humor me here. Go to week 2. Okay, you see Parker Washington in week 2. You see where he is?
Yeah.
Can I go to week 3? Just keep an eye on Parker Washington. Week 3. Pretty good usage, right?
Yeah.
So we've killed off Travis Hunter and then removed De'Ami Brown. And then let's look at week 4, Parker Washington. Buried.
There he is.
And that was the 1 week. This was the 1 week where people were saying, I can probably flex that Parker Washington.
Oh, yeah, I did.
And he got a punt return touchdown. Thank God. He didn't get you nothing. But, like, isn't it just funny how you can't just look at receivers and go, one guy gets out of the way and another guy will go way up in usage? He literally was the opposite. They were like, oh, no De'Ami Brown? We'll just use more Hunter Long and Travis Hunter. And nothing about their usage before this said they were the ones that were going to get the bump. It was going to be Parker Washington. So, I don't know. Jags are a weird team. It's funny, Ray. Like, Jags really are one of those teams that, like, by the way people talk about the Jags, you would think they're the worst team in the league, right? And they're probably one of, like, the top 8 overall.
No, they're actually really good.
They're very good.
They're actually really good.
They're a team that literally was a blown game against the shitty Bengals from being undefeated, yet the way people talk about them is like they're not doing anything right. So,
quick response, because the guy that you got to join the link, he's asked about New Orleans at the start of the show. There's week 4 New Orleans, Scott.
We love New Orleans. We love the way New Orleans deploys their players.
Look at that. Look at that.
That's a dream, isn't it? 3 guys and nobody else.
You just wish you had a better quarterback.
And 2 receivers.
You just wish you had a better quarterback. But
and Rattler is doing as well as he could. Like, yes, believe it or not, he's not in that Caleb, Bryce Young camp. Like, he's not even in that shit range. You know what I mean?
No, he's fine.
But if you told me he was the 20th best quarterback, that's like the best you could probably hope. So that is one I'm very excited with next year. If they do add like a Cam Ward, I'm very excited for the way their offenses look. But I don't think
let's add somebody better than Cam Ward. But here's Cleveland. Here's Cleveland in week 4. Everybody below the line because Joe Flacco's awful. So all that usage, like you better be happy with what you got. Here's Cleveland for the full season. Everybody at or below the line except Cedric Tillman, who barely plays. And there's Jamari Thrash and Isaiah Bond pops. That's weeks 1 through 4. He only played 1 game, but like Flacco stinks. Like he's dreadful. Judy dropping passes doesn't help, but Flacco's not good. Yeah,
and he's right there with Bryce Young and Cam Ward as the worst quarterbacks. And unlike those guys, there's absolutely nothing in the tank left.
There we go.
Go to Dylan Gabriel. It can't get worse.
Yep. Okay. All right, Scott, close us out. Another good week. More data, more information, more bets, more conviction, more Trinity.
Yeah, great week, everybody. 4 weeks in, we, I think, have a sample size on a lot of these situations to start saying definitively, hey, that's just not a situation that's going to get a lot better. I think more on the bad end. There's some that we talked about that are not great, but they're not terrible, and they could still maybe get a little bit better. But the bottom 3 or 4 or 5 situations, like if you have players on those teams, we're talking Cleveland, Tennessee, Carolina, like, I mean, Tet is as good as you could get, but like you still don't even want a guy for this year in that type of situation. So join the Discord, ddfantasyfootball.com. You get the Trinity tool if you're there. Also, patreon.com/allgas. You can get in the Discord there. I'm going to be working on this offensive environment thing that we're trying to come up with, like that can go hand in hand with Trinity. I think looking at that stuff as we get later on into the season with bye weeks, when you're having to decide, okay, who would I rather start, DJ Moore or Stephon Diggs? Like, use these tools. Go play the margins in Dynasty. That's the whole point of this show, is not just, anybody can tell you generally what players are great, what players are good, what players are getting used, not getting used. Like, everyone can look at this tool and figure this out, but how do you go then play the market? Because there are market inefficiencies.
Yes.
So that's what the community's for. Jump in the Heisman, jump in the voice chat, ask those questions. I'll help you out where I can. And good luck, everybody that's got matchups in week 4 still. Excited to keep this going. This is a great show. Love it every week.
Got a lot of people in here. Josh said Tet and G-Dub Spider-Man meme. Steve said another great show. Big T said great info. After 4 weeks, the picture is getting cleaner for decision makings. And then Josh said, look at Tampa Bay 2024. Top 2 are clustered together, but in wide receiver 1 Jacksonville, top 3 clustered but getting wide receiver. Yeah, yep. What Josh is saying, if you go back to 24, top 2 are clustered together, but they were both in wide receiver 1 land. Jacksonville, you got the top 3 clustered together, but they're producing like wide receiver 3 kind of threshold tiers, which maybe it's the quarterback, Scott. Maybe it's all the offensive coordinator's fault. Maybe it's all the offensive line's fault. You know, the good thing about the dots, it doesn't factor any of that in. It's just giving you the information. And for everybody out here that uses the tool, you don't have to take my word on it, right? You might look at one of those situations and be like, dude, Ray, there isn't any getting better in Houston, or it is going to get better in Jacksonville, and I'm going to go opposite. That's for you to decipher and tell your own unique individual football story. But the dots are just kind of like, that's what's happening. That's the targets. That's the air yards. That's the yak. That's the first downs. That's all that shit. And that is why you just kind of trust the Trinity and choose your own adventure. So appreciate y'all. Those folks that are watching this live, your members here, we appreciate the support. Every dollar matters. Every dollar counts. People like Scott and Shane and Declare need to be paid. So I just want to really say, as we roll into October and November, like, y'all's patronage, your support really does mean a lot to us. So thank you. If you're not in, highly consider you joining it. And Scott and I will be back next week for more Trinity talk. Appreciate y'all.